Thanks for joining us again. Headed out to the cinemas, Jared, at a tidy $50 or $57 because I had to pay for parking.
Yeah, you fucked that up.
Slight fuck up. Yes. I did not get my extra 2 hours. Holy shit. And you know what? It was another kick in the balls.
It was.
It was just the extra kick in the balls.
I thought we might be in a bit of strife when you kind of just said, "Oh, it doesn't look like it did anything." Oh, that's all right. You just fucking walked off. And boom, $7 later.
$7 later. And look, it was it was just the icing on a shit sandwich.
And you were not in a position to do anything but pay the $7 unless you wanted
couldn't get out.
That was good stuff.
Look, today we're covering new to cinemas, Freelance.
It probably won't be there by the time you're listening.
No. Considering, just to let people know, we were the only people in the cinema.
Yeah. And what, 2 sessions a day?
No, it was 4.
4 today.
They got fucking a little bit overconfident.
Yeah.
Come Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be covering today. Just to let everyone know as well, this currently has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 0.
Which, funnily enough, I mean, if the Rotten Tomatoes had been 30 or 40, me and you wouldn't have batted an eyelid. But as soon as it said 0, we thought, shit, we better have a look.
I didn't really know if I wanted to fucking pay to the tune of $57 to see it.
No. Get your VIP sorted out, mate.
I've got to sort myself out somewhere. All right, before we get into that, have you watched anything recently since we last recorded?
Movie-wise, not a whole lot. I did watch They, Them.
Oh, yeah?
Showed up on Paramount. Shit, they might entice me to pay $100 for another year.
Well, if they're not enticing you, think of me.
Yeah. Be kind. Be kind to others.
Think of me. I don't have all these things that you've got.
That's because you're not silly enough to fucking engage with them. Yeah, it was okay. I wasn't expecting a whole lot seeing some of the reviews. I didn't mind it. You could see some of the messages that they were going with and the way that sort of played into the revelations down the stretch and how they played out.
Is it a slasher film? Or is it sort of like...
I mean, it is, but not for a long time. And I think that's going with the messages they're trying to go with about conversion camps and... the LGBT community in general. And there's a couple of scenes that I can't imagine anybody, including that community, looking fondly on, including one where the whole fucking camp seems to burst into song. That's a bit of a shocker, but I didn't mind it overall. I thought it wasn't a strong slasher, but I can see why they sort of played it the way they did. I reckon, it's not going to... I don't think it'll stand the test of time, but I think it's good that Blumhouse, again, is engaging with ideas like this that are different from what we would get just with a straight down the line slasher flick. So I'm happy to keep watching stuff like that if they put it out. I also watched more of the Goosebumps series. I think I'm about 6 or 7 episodes in now. Yep, still enjoying it. Still going pretty strongly so far.
Yeah.
Do you know how many episodes the season is going to be?
Well, I think it must be 10 because I've watched 8 and then I saw a thing the other day saying a new episode had arrived.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not going to lie, at the end of episode 8 I felt like it was finished.
Yeah.
But maybe there's more.
Yeah, right. But yeah, pretty happy with that. I watched a bit of One Piece again, just getting into the anime. As I said to you, Adam.
Getting the Crunchyroll going?
Crunchyroll has now been added to my list of streaming services. Not my choice, but I thought, got to indulge the interests for the kids to some extent there. I finished Black Roses.
Oh, yeah? That's the music kind of horror movie?
So I'm still going on the path. We're well past the end of Halloween now, but I'm still deciding to push through on this list. Yeah. So... yeah, that was the music one. It was okay. It had some pretty decent effects for what looks like a cheap film. And I don't mind the ideas behind it. They've been done in a few different films, but it's kind of like the impact that the music is having on the people that are going to see it and this kind of demonic presence infecting them and stuff like that. It was okay. So They, Them was my first time watch. That was the next one on the list, was a first time watch. So that's what I went with. And then now I'm into In a Graveyard. So I went to Pet Sematary 2.
Okay. That's not a bad idea.
Oh, I still enjoy that one. It's a little out there. They actually make it pretty clear that she's a fucking stretch to get up to the pet cemetery. That it takes a bit of time.
But that's not taken into account for other films.
Yeah, this must have been after the sheriff's access for him to be able to just drive up there was cut off as well. So it's a bit of fun. I don't think it adds a whole lot to the mythology or anything, but same idea and does okay with it. And aside from that, Adam, probably segueing into yours, we got the chance to jump into Batman and Robin with a free screening on the big screen and a discussion around some of the scientific themes involved, which, quite frankly, I enjoyed the screening again because the movie is so silly and it's just... It's at the point where there's the disappointment of anything is long gone.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of watching it and understanding, hey, it's a pretty shit film, but you can have a good laugh at it.
Indeed.
And I think you enjoyed it from that because it had been a decade or so since you'd seen it.
I haven't seen it in 10
Forgotten
years.
how bad it was.
Fuck me dead. Arnold Schwarzenegger should be... Sometimes I say that actors should give their SAG card back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Arnie was in this.
Yeah.
And look, he's not the only one.
We had a lengthy discussion on the way home about how he should have been put out to pasture as an actor.
Well, his career dives after this.
Mm.
It's after Batman and Robin where things go a little bit awry for him. He's no longer the box office draw he once was. He's no longer commanding the big paychecks and all that sort of stuff. Everything starts to go, and then he becomes the governor. And then he comes back to film, and by that stage, the career is in more of a, he makes a few return engagements, but doesn't do anything else really noteworthy in any of that. But Batman and Robin is just lunacy. It's just awful.
And again, we discussed this. Nobody comes out saying anything other than that's probably my career worst. Like I was...
You were heavily... Michael Goff gave him some real treatment.
Holy shit. It was horrendous. And he was never my favourite Alfred. I thought he was a little too old, even in the Keaton film. And I guess, that also comes from me reading Batman stuff a little later in the piece and sort of forming some ideas. In the comics most recently, he's a little younger, and there's also been other stories and other, animated shows and things like that who have played him a bit younger and brought this kind of Secret Service-ish sort of background into play and stuff like that.
Who's played Alfred? Michael
in
Goff,
the movies, Michael Goff
for 4, Michael Caine, for 3, Jeremy Irons for 2,
and in the Batman, it was what's his name, Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis, yeah.
Which I feel Andy Serkis is in the age range for what I think works for a younger Batman. So, but yeah, Michael Goff, I just couldn't stop laughing every time he was chatting to Bruce, and then as soon as they'd leave, he'd go, like he's just about to die on the spot. This is a respected actor.
He doesn't even fucking die. That's the thing. This is the thing. I was so forgotten this film that I just assumed he carked it.
I think anyone watching him act might assume that was on the cards as well.
But he doesn't.
Yeah, he was terrible.
And then there's all that shit about Batgirl.
Yeah.
That, she has no fucking right being placed in that role.
No.
Just because she's his niece.
And so many plot holes regarding that. Like, she is supposed to be about 17, you'd imagine, given the school angle. Alfred's about 80. I'll be generous. I'll be charitable and say 75. She's supposed to be his niece.
So it means
Peg. I mean, even if there's a big age gap, I'll give him 15 years. That's still pushing it a little. Peg would have been in her 40s to have the child, which is okay. I mean, okay. But you see the picture of Peg, and it looks like it's from the fucking 1930s. Like it's... Anyway.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, I mean...
looks like Shirley Temple.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, Uma Thurman is in there, and she's... It's like she's giving a performance that she was told to give. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to play it like, the old Catwoman from the 1966 shows and stuff like that.
Well, this is the one that closely resembles the 66 Batman.
Yeah.
It closely resembles it in tone, in colourings, in fucking everything.
But piss funny to watch. I think you were filthy at you were taking pot shots at Jesse Ventura and Rafe Muller.
They disgraced Rafe Muller by fucking dubbing his voice.
Oh my god! And
he's only got like one line. They dub it in.
Yeah, and of course Bane, who's talking about poorly handled. Like,
Mom. Oh, fucking hell! Like, what?
But yeah, hilarious.
What were you thinking when you're putting that together? Like Joel Schumacher. He's standing there looking at this being set up and going, what are we doing? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear that it was just run by toys by this stage.
Yep.
I mean, the drop-off in box office, I believe, is quite steep between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
It's about 150 million less. And that's not a good sign. Especially when you brought in Arnie and like Arnie was your big draw then. So, yeah, the fucking movie sucks. But the panel discussion was interesting.
Yes, although I was taken aback when one of them said, what a beautiful film. Like, fuck, not really. Like, there is things to appreciate about it, like the design of the fucking sets and everything. They are pretty stunning.
Oh, and look, one of the blokes in the conversation after the film was talking about the way they put the effects together, and it's a mixture of green screen, miniatures, models, all sorts of shit. And that's very, very impressive stuff. Like
yes.
They weren't just using a computer. Like, so, I've got a lot of time for that.
Yep.
But not for the what they use those things for.
But it's a good movie it did not make.
It is not. No, it is not. All right, what else did I have? Not much. I watched 2 episodes of a 4-part Netflix documentary. True crime, Jared. Called Till Murder Do Us Part. Soaring versus Haysom. It's basically the story of these 2. They were both in college, who got together and basically killed the girl's parents. Her name was Haysom. Surname was Haysom. Killed their parents. She blamed him. He blamed her. So basically that was the whole conceit of it. That who's telling the truth in all this. I'm 2 episodes down with 2 to go. Interesting story.
Yeah.
But, they're trying to sort of say to us that one of them didn't do it, but they were both assholes. Like, it's pretty easy to see. They're both fuckwit. And right. I think they probably did it together. That's my opinion, but whether or not that's the way it pans out, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, look, I'll see it through. It was intriguing enough. And the only other thing I watched is, Jared, we watched Mr. Church last night, which is an Eddie Murphy movie, a drama. Not the usual sort of stuff for here, but I believe Eddie had been laying dormant around this time. He hadn't made a lot of films at this point. So, checked it out. Look, it was passable. Just a standard drama, quietly done. Eddie is good, though. And look, I've always said it, the bloke's a really good actor.
Yeah, he is.
I think
when
people
he's
forget
required
that.
to act,
yes,
he can
actually
act
good at
very, very well.
So I think his performance is quite good. In a low budget sort of small film, I think he really gives a nice little bit of gravitas. But that was it.
Good stuff.
All right. We've held it off long enough. Let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2023's Freelance.
Do you know that feeling when you're doing exactly what you were put on the earth to do? The one where it's like everything inside you is moving together in harmony with the universe. No! Me neither. But, one can hope, right? Wave to Mommy, because she'll hate me even more than she already does if you don't.
I seem to recall you saying that becoming a lawyer would only crush your soul.
Yeah, it has.
I'm running a business, and right now that business is getting a journalist in and out of Paldonia.
No.
It's a one-off.
No, and no. Who's a journalist?
I have resigned my position here.
Not interested.
20 grand says you are.
Welcome to Paldonia.
President Venegas, so nice to meet you.
We must take a selfie. You approve?
Ah, it's great.
Vámonos!
What the hell just happened?
Your one-man security detail happened. He's a hero.
I'm with the president of a country in the middle of a coup. This is the scoop of a lifetime.
You gotta be alive to have a scoop for a lifetime. We never should have come. Let's go.
You can't just leave him.
Run! Run!
Ready to go, I don't know how to stop. When you start at the bottom, only way to go is up.
I'm just doing my job.
Do you need help?
I get up again, then I got to win. I get up again, then I got to win.
What? You're still excited to cover a coup?
Less and less, honestly.
Where is Venegas?
Here's Venegas! Go for Pandoja! Hey! Not the time for coaching, man!
Oh, my God.
Color me impressed, Mr. Petit. Not petit at all.
Tell me you got that! Run!
Freelance from 2023. It's directed by Pierre Morel, who I believe directed Taken. And it's written by Jacob Lentz, who wrote an episode of the 2000s TV show Ed. It stars Alison Brie as Claire Wellington, John Cena as Mason Petit, Alice Eve as Jenny Petit, Christian Slater as Sebastian Earle, and Martin Cossacks as Colonel Jan Crowhurst. The budget, I believe, was $40 million, Jared. The box office currently in America is $2 million.
Right.
I don't know the worldwide box office.
Last I saw it was like 6.
6
approaching
worldwide.
7.
6 to 7 worldwide.
Might be 7 and $50 after this morning.
Yeah, it's just hitting 7. Like, sorry. Oh, shit. Oh, we could have pushed it over the top.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
Okay, the only piece of trivia on here is Freelance has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's not John Cena's first film with a 0% score. His first 0% rotten film on Rotten Tomatoes was Fred the movie.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, no. All right. What's your take on this one, Jared?
It was stunningly boring.
Yes.
Like, shockingly. It was just strange. The chemistry between the leads was just non-existent. The attempts at comedy were very thin, and when they were there, it was just like, it wasn't even like there was stretches of written stuff to go with. It was just sort of like, oh, let's try to have the characters bounce off each other for a while, which just didn't work at all. And then down the stretch, we kind of seemed to sideline John Cena and Alison Brie for the political situation in Paledonia, or it just, I don't know, it was just confusing, but thoroughly unentertaining. So,
is this?
I don't even know if I can give it a half. I think maybe a half.
A half?
Yeah.
You're going with a half?
I'll go a half.
Okay. So it hasn't got off the 0% Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
At the moment, because, that is a rotten score.
Yes, yeah.
Half out of 5.
Half. That's what I think I've got to go with.
Okay.
There was just nothing to enjoy about the movie.
Boring, unfunny, poorly directed. There's zero chemistry between anyone. Every single plot twist is cliche and telegraphed. It is just a black hole. It's an entertainment black hole, Jared.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it 0.
0?
Yes.
Okay.
It's only the second movie I've given 0. The other one is Freddy's Dead, and I fucking hate that movie. I hate that movie. But this was just the people involved. I would have expected enough to give it, say, 1 star.
Yeah.
You know, looking at the talent and the money.
Well, if you'd have told me Alison Brie and John Cena were the leads, I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll probably get a few laughs.
I got none.
No, I didn't.
No, I got 1.
Oh, yeah.
It's got nothing to do with them.
I think I got 2, maybe 2. And at one time, you kind of looked over at me and said, "Are you laughing at that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm begging for something to latch onto here."
Yeah. It's a fucking debacle. Like this is the kind of thing that gets your next film where you did voice work. Totally struck from
by David Zaslav for a tax break.
Hence, John Cena's next film has been thoroughly removed.
As I said to you a fortnight ago, Johnny Cena was hot.
He's
the career
flying
was looking
high.
good. He's flying high. 2 weeks later, the bloke is just about...
He's begging for parts.
He's just about dressing as somebody on the street of Hollywood Boulevard for a couple of coins.
Yeah, he's dressing as John Cena. Fucking hell. Have you got anything positive to say?
I had 1 like in the entire movie.
I've got a fucking 0, so it might be hard. 1 like. What was
1
it?
like. You had 1 like, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
It was the same one.
Same.
My 1 like in the entire movie was the bloke getting absolutely fucking steamrolled on the bridge. And they shoot it from the front just as this dummy is getting fucking cleaned up by John Cena in the car. And it was quite comical.
Look, I laughed.
Yeah,
I laughed heavily.
I laughed at that one.
Anything else?
No.
Nothing else.
I had nothing else I could look at.
Holy shit.
Well, did you?
Nah, absolutely not. like, you know, when someone tells me it's an action comedy, Jared, I expect there's comedy.
Or action.
Yeah. Like, there's plenty of
100%.
action, but it's fucking so pedestrian it's not funny. So they jack up the action near the end.
Yeah.
But by that stage, you've fucking lost everybody, and it's not even done very well. So,
No.
I mean, I'm getting off track here, but let's go back. First things first. John Cena and Alison Brie have absolutely 0 chemistry. None.
Yep.
Nothing. It's as if they just met. Like, throughout the entire film, it's as if the characters and the actors have met for the first time. It's just horrendous. And you know what? They're both usually fairly reliable. Comedically.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Nah, nothing. Yeah, the lines that they were forced to sort of spout around each other were just, I don't know, they were terrible. And you can see that we got in the credits, we got a little bit of a, you know, some bloopers, some stuff that was cut. And it's clear that they were just fucking standing there trying to come up with something at a couple of times. But there's just nothing. As you said, like, you described it as, you know, trying to start a fire underwater. It's pretty much bang on.
It is spot on.
They just were very mismatched.
There's not a spark. There's nothing.
And I don't know whether that was just that the movie was just so underdone that, you know, we're looking at the characters and saying there's nothing there. But even then, I've seen movies where I didn't think they were all that well written, where 2 characters or 2 actors look like they would do some good work together. But this just wasn't it at all.
No.
And Alison Brie, like, I look at something like Glow, and she had that kind of quirky charm, and she was a bit silly. Like, she did some silly things, but she was a character you were really behind. I just didn't see any of it here.
No.
None of it.
Nothing. Action scenes. Pedestrian.
Yeah.
Pedestrian at best. And by the end of it, they are throwing every single thing they can into the finale. But none of it is resonating. None of it is hitting. It's not exciting.
No.
It's not interesting.
And early on, it's just a lot of John Cena firing guns and then a quick shot of somebody firing one back.
Yeah.
I think it takes about half the movie before we get a bit of hand-to-hand, and it's not very well done.
No. And look, I don't know. I can't remember what the rest of Pierre Morel's resume is. But he must have just... Because Taken was not great, but as far as action sequences were concerned, it was passable. Like, the action stuff was reasonably passable.
Yeah.
What the fuck happens later on in his career, I don't know. But this is not it.
No.
Like, he just seems to have no concept of building any tension with any of it, making the action scenes exciting. Like, they're all just plugging along at the usual rate. And maybe it's because it's meant to be comedic, and that's what's not working.
Yeah. He did direct another one of our favourites, From Paris with Love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, From Paris with Love. Again, not exactly high art.
No.
But passable action stuff. Whew, okay. Very boring.
Very.
Like, beyond boring. Like, there are sections where, even when they're in the jungle, sort of, and there's a coup going on, and we've just started to really sort of work out, okay, now, Cena's deep in the shit, we have lengthy exposition periods where they're just walking through the jungle.
Yeah. Yep. And, like, normally that's where you get a bit of riffing and a bit of, you know, we start to get these two characters who hate each other sort of finding something there. But in this one, it was just like, they're butting heads. Oh, and then all of a sudden she's sitting down to have a chat.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And that gets even worse as we go along here. There's some incredible 180-degree turns on character stuff.
Yeah.
Where people start this way and then they just immediately turn around and go to something else. Like,
yeah. So the action was poor, so was the comedy. So you've got an action comedy that doesn't do either of them even competently. I hate to say that. I don't like to kick movies like this, but they were both, like, on both fronts, it was just so poor.
Yes. Like, you couldn't, there's not even one action scene where you're kind of like, yeah, that was all right. That was all right.
No.
None of them were that good. And that's really worrying.
I was begging for Johnny Cena to chug a beer through his clacker or something.
Right, honestly, I'd rather he chugged a case through his ass. You know what? He should be punished by chugging a case through his ass after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The intro, this is the thing that the intro is just so annoying. So the film gets off to the worst possible start.
Just a rambling
with
intro.
This rambling kind of monologue of him explaining his life and everything. And it's all shot via like a GoPro or a body cam.
POV sort of stuff.
It sucks. And then it paints him out to be the greatest fucking human being ever. Like, he became a lawyer and then that's not good enough for me. Now I've got to become a Navy SEAL or a soldier. And then when that falls through, I'm back to being a lawyer, and what a fucking cunt of a life that is.
Oh, yeah. What a shit life I've got.
Yeah.
I've got a lovely wife. Well, she's not that lovely. They don't
No,
call her that
the
lovely, but I've
character's
got a wife
not
and
lovely,
child, and I fucking, everything about this existence just sucks.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you swear he was a homeless man.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. But also, the
gratitude, John. It goes a long way.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Others are in a worse position than you. But it also goes to this whole idea that having been a lawyer and a Navy SEAL, he's just a doormat. Like, his wife just shits all over him and everything, like, and everyone else shits all over him. Like, that doesn't compute at all.
No.
Like, I mean, fuck. Even by the standards of being a Navy SEAL, you'd think he'd be an alpha, super confident, you know, because that's what those guys are.
And even by the standards of what you will accept in an action movie or a comedy movie, you're still looking at it going, come on, like, give us a spell.
So we start with him being like, just his resume being explained to us by him is
pretty
just
much
like awesome. To being, my wife fucking doesn't even think I'm a proper lawyer. Like, what? Where's that coming from?
Last time I checked, a back injury didn't affect your ability to practice law. As far as I could tell, his brain was still working.
But what type of lawyer was he? Did we get an understanding of
bad one?
And
that's the only explanation
to his wife,
that we got.
He sucked. But I never actually got an understanding of what kind of law he did.
No. We only got that one scene where he was telling some bloke, he'd get onto his phone company to protest particular calls that he didn't make or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Doesn't explain much, but anyway.
No. And they also then paint him out to be he forgets to clean his teeth. He forgets he can't put a seatbelt on.
His wife reminding him, you make sure you put the seatbelt on in the car. And I'm like, what? Why do we even need that? Like, I'm sure the man was a fucking Navy SEAL and has passed the fucking bar.
He's a pretty shrewd character.
I'm pretty sure he could say you got your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
The stuff that they had to put this wedge in the relationship was just so... It was just nonsense, wasn't it? Yeah. But that's all we got. We didn't get anything more than that.
But the thing too is that why would you paint him out to be so awesome 1 minute and then just a useless piece of shit after that?
Yeah. It didn't even go into the injury. There was some depression. Which would have been completely
understandable. Could have been used.
Because there was an accident involved. There was his unit was involved.
Yeah,
they didn't even go with that. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just I get it because you want to mine some comedy out of it, but you didn't do that. So, yeah, strange. Also, you've got Alice Eve, who I think is a decent actress.
Yes, and
she is playing an absolute caricature. Her entire role is to just be a nagging bitch.
Yeah.
It's just
the
baffling.
role, you know what? The role's not even necessary because they never really nail any of what we've needed. So they could have just had him recently divorced.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
already
I mean?
separated or something. But honestly, she's on screen for about 5 minutes before we get into the freelance part of it, the security work part of it. And all it is just ripping the guy. You don't actually get to see her suffering a little bit. Like,
well, fuck, let me lay this on you. There's a sequence where she basically tells him to move out.
Yeah.
Right?
Tell your story walking, in other words. 2
or 3 scenes later, he's back in the house and he's packing up his gear and he's lugging it all out and she says, where are you going? He goes, I picked up a job. Firstly, what fucking business is it of yours? You told me
to fuck off.
Right? But he humours her and tells her where he's going. Says he picked up a job as a private security guy.
Yeah, yeah.
She suddenly goes, oh, no, you shouldn't do that because you might die.
Yeah.
So we flipped.
When previously, last time we saw you, you were telling him what a fucking stinky lawyer he was.
He was a rubbish lawyer and he needs to get out. And then within 2 scenes, no, you can't do that because what about the kids? You might die. And then, I'm not joking, within about 10 seconds, she basically goes, all right, get out. She basically tells him to fuck off.
I felt really sorry for Alice Eve because she's just given absolutely nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
Jesus, what a useless, thankless role.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be having that conversation with my agent. You're a fucking terrible agent.
Yeah. I'd be like, guess who's getting fired this week? You. You know what?
Oh my God.
The only good thing they do with it is that they don't put the two of Cena and Alison Brie in a romantic context.
Yeah.
And he ends up saying he actually still loves his wife.
Yeah.
That's the only positive bit they get.
How could you put those two? How could you say he's leaving his wife and he's getting together with you? Because there's not a spark.
A spark?
I wouldn't have bought it.
You have got to actually have something to start the fire with, and neither of these guys have got it.
Yeah.
Like they have nothing together.
Yeah, nada.
0.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only good thing they do with Alice Eve's character, or is that his wife, Cena's wife, is that he doesn't just break down and
He says, "I still love." She says, "You still love her," and he says, "Yes," and he wants to patch it up.
And then he cries and says, "The last time we were together, she told me 3 separate things in about 5 minutes, including I was a shit lawyer and told me to fuck off and get out of here."
I want to get back together, but now I've remembered the last time we were together and how she spoke to me, and I'm second guessing whether I do or not. Oh,
exactly.
My God.
Now there's a heap of unanswered questions. Question number 1: how does Christian Slater survive the helicopter crash?
No idea.
And all they do is explain it away by killed half of our buddies.
Yeah.
Half of them, a fucking helicopter came down.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. If I remember Black Hawk Down correctly, everyone fucking who got hit in those helicopters died.
Yeah. It's a tough one to walk away from.
Oh, no, sorry. One of the guys didn't die. The pilot of one of the helicopters didn't die.
Yeah.
In Black Hawk Down.
Well,
But either way, he was...
Slats wasn't one of the... he was a pilot.
Slats was standing up in the middle of the fucking thing. Like, he's the first guy dead.
I don't know. Maybe he had a bit. Maybe he had the opportunity to get a bit of flex in the knees and take some impact on the way down.
Clearly, because he had no injuries whatsoever.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And did you also notice, Jared, that there was no real time frame?
No,
I didn't get any time frame. So when
it was enough for him to pass the bar and start a shitty career in law.
And also, it was 7 years. No, I think they said 7 years.
Yeah,
he started it 7 years ago. He started that fucking Chicks Dig It.
Oh, CDI. Chicks Dig It.
Oh.
That's its own dislike. Worst joke of the movie, but we fucking call back to it. Now, you leave that one in the graveyard where it was. Like,
you keep that to yourself. like, you might think CDI means Chicks Dig It, but you don't put it in your script.
Yeah, yeah.
And as soon as John Cena does it, just a look on his face. Fucking hell. I reckon even he was thinking,
you can tell he doesn't want to say it.
I don't want to say this.
Yeah, yeah. He also, that was the same scene where he utters, I'm broken down, I'm out of shape.
Out of shape?
How you going?
You haven't been, as you said, you haven't been to the gym for 2 days. Fucking hell. No
it's funny because he's in a suit, but they expect us to say that, oh, well, you can't see his muscles, so we're expected to imply that he's out of shape, even though his shirt looks like it's about to pop off him.
I know. That's the problem with guys like Cena and The Rock and that. You can't, put them in roles where people are saying, well, he's out of shape, he's not up to it.
Yeah.
Because they're just, they're man mountains.
Yeah.
And it just, and you wait till, when he turns up and he takes off his fucking suit jacket on the ground in Paledonia or whatever it is, he's got fucking 4 arms like bloody hairballs.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're covered in veins.
Last time I saw you, it was like 2 hairballs.
Yeah. Oh, geez, you put on some condition.
But like the thing about that is, the slides and stuff like that, when it was Rambo, it was mental. So they focused on that. It's like, that's the struggle. He's clearly in good shape. We're not going to mention that. He could clearly still rip your head off if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they should have gone with Cena. And if you're going for this other angle, well, you look at something like True Lies, it's the same sort of thing. Like Arnie's having marriage problems, but it's just done so much better.
Oh, yeah. But let's fucking, once again, the bulls roar between pictures. But
exactly.
None of that sticks. And again, so the lead in this movie should be someone a little more slight.
Well, if you're going to go, I don't mind if you go with Cena, but don't try to tell me he's fucking out of shape.
Say he's injured. Say he's injured.
They did say he was injured, but the only way they painted that, I mean, his back is so bad that he can still bench. He can still pick you up and bench you pretty comfortably.
Exactly. And the only time you see that he's injured, he goes,
yeah, he's got a scar on his back, and every time he's walking, he's like pulling a face.
Yeah.
That's it. He looks like he's just eaten some bad fucking curry or something. That's
I usually look a little different, sweaty, a little bit pale.
I was pulling a similar face when I just finished that 3-piece feed that we had after the movie. But
yeah, I'll be putting on that because I had a popcorn chicken meal, so I'll be putting on a face like that in about 30 minutes.
Yes,
actually, make it 25.
Yeah. Similar to Alice Eve, Alison Brie gets the same treatment at the start. Like,
she's just a bitch from minute one. Like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, she's so unlikable, and all she's doing is fucking attacking Cena and then trying to justify, this is why I had to do this for the career and all this sort of stuff. But
also, the funny thing about it is, usually what would happen in a better movie is he would meet her, pick her up for the detail, then he would fuck something up.
Mm.
And then that would make him look incompetent. And she would then have issues with his skills or whatever.
Yep.
But the fucking initial meeting, she's just ripping him a new asshole.
Yeah.
Where's the car? Where are you? Why are you late? All this sort of shit. And then she's they're in the private jet or whatever, and she's fucking banging on about, I won a Peabody, and now I'm doing this shit and whinging about a career.
They go on with this like, I mean, they make her a shrew for
no apparent reason.
And then it must be about 45 in, she starts going on about, you don't know how hard it is, copping some of the shit she copped from being a disgraced reporter and having to prove herself and all this sort of stuff. But it just doesn't fly because you haven't given us any depth to what she's done before that.
Yeah.
So again, I feel sorry for her because, as I've said, I think she's been fucking wonderful in other stuff that I've
definitely.
Watched. But this is just not.
Nobody gets furnished with much in the character department.
No.
And unfortunately, it seems that the writer seems to think that women are all fucking awful.
Well, that would be.
That's the only takeaway I got.
Yeah, well, that could be something from it. But as you said, just after that line that she's copped, we're seen as like, kind of goes, oh, okay, yeah, there might be something to that. That we then sit down and have a conversation, and from that point on, they're buddies.
Yeah.
It's
just like this twist, this 180 twist that doesn't
make sense. And the idea that she is fucking, a female in an industry and was treated pretty badly in an industry that's notoriously kind of tough on people.
Yeah,
that makes some sense.
Yeah,
but the way it's used, just not
mined well in this thing.
No,
Jesus Christ. Now, I didn't mention his name because I can't remember it, and I didn't find it on the list there. But the dictator, he's just awful.
The actor is Juan Pablo Raba.
He is shocking.
Well, again, what's he got to do?
He's got nothing to do, but he overplays his hand with this kind of wanky. I think he's supposed to be the comedy.
Well, this is where the comedic part comes in. You've just handed this bloke this role. For starters, we're painting him as a dictator, and I get this idea, it's misconstrued. He's a pawn in this political game. And so we're supposed to... Personally, I think that's a pretty fucking bad idea to mine the comedy from.
Yes.
But you kind of leave the guy out on his own. You're kind of just trying to get him to make gags that and it's kind of everyone is just making these the gags that aren't really kind of written. They're just bland little lines to drop, or you've got a big gun. Oh, great! Like we make a laugh out of that. He makes a joke about the size of Cena's dick. It's like I got the sense that you named the guy Mason Petite just to make that gag, and it wasn't worth it.
I mean, yeah, I think that sort of thing that, you call him Mike Oxlong or Mike Oxmall, and somebody gets a laugh out of that.
You do?
I do, yeah, I do. For some reason, I get a laugh out of it. The fact that you seem to have this kind of dictating... I don't know, he's not the villain. I know that that's what they're doing, is they're kind of meant to be painting out that maybe he started some of this, but then he actually didn't.
Yeah.
Right? But his performance and everything is just so fucking shrill and over the top. He's constantly kind of laughing like an idiot and he's basically doing Antonio Banderas if Antonio Banderas was fucking had no talent.
Oh, well, so I'm willing to give him a little bit of a...
Well, he's clearly not getting a lot of help.
But he's not, there's not a lot of...
He's not getting anything given to
him. And
it
comes down to the chemistry again, too, like...
And I feel like they want him to be the funny part that the others will bounce off, but that's not working because it's not funny.
Yeah.
None of it's funny. So, unfortunately, now you've got three people who aren't funny. Fucking hell. Honestly. And the fact that these assholes had the gall to put some bloopers at the end.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
And again,
just roll the fucking credits and get us out of there.
They had the gall to give Alison Brie a line about, you're in Delta Force or something. That's just a bad movie. Well, I'm kind of like, watch what you're saying, because...
Yeah, I think you might be in a worse one.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd rather watch that one at the moment.
The whole sequence where they're running from the helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, the helicopter. The guy must have been blindfolded because they are running out in this in totally uncovered.
Yeah. Seems to use about 20 bombs.
And he cannot hit shit. He's nowhere near them.
No.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And then Cena takes the fucking helicopter down with 2 shots.
Mm.
And the awful CGI work that's used for that crash just adds an extra sort of, an extra bit of like just awfulness to it.
No, none of that came off well. That was just, especially in a world where we've now had things like The Raid and John Wick, and the action stuff is just, I mean, there's so many shots of just somebody standing there holding a gun and firing away. And then we get a couple of hand-to-hand things, but they're just super bland, like everything else.
When you read a script like this, Jared, and you realise it is not going to pass the muster, right? You need to beef things up. The action needs to be a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And it's easier to fix action than it is comedy, right? People don't laugh at things sometimes.
Yeah.
But action, you can get people to get excited by blowing things up.
Yeah, well, a bit of that
well.
reasonable action work. Like, I understood the need for a bit of gunplay here, but it's just super boring when your action man is just standing there blasting away.
Yep. And his whole thing is the hand-to-hand combat.
You look like John Wick. Have him fucking walk down a corridor and people are popping up out of everywhere, things like that. Or, I said seen as a wrestler, you do a bit of hand-to-hand. Well, they did that 2 times, I believe, and one was kind of down the stretch. And they just didn't pass muster for me.
Martin Cossacks, Jared.
Now,
Looks like
just
fucking Mick Hucknell.
Yeah. He does.
From
He
Simply
does.
Red.
I don't know whose idea that was.
And then he's cracking out an accent that Eddie the 12th Man would be pretty happy with.
Yeah. I've just jumped on, checking his profile on IMDb. The trivia says his last name is pronounced Chokash.
Why am I calling him?
Chokash. One of those.
Why am I calling him Martin Cossack?
I don't know.
I fucking don't know. Clearly.
But he's a guy that I quite like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in Triple X. I gave him a pass for that.
Oh, yeah.
But,
He was in The Equalizer.
Yeah, normally a guy that if he pops up, you're pretty happy with what he's producing.
He plays a pretty good villain.
Yep.
Except for this one.
Yeah. The accent is just a strange choice. But as you said, he does look like Mick Hucknell. He's got the wavy orange hair. It's fucking fantastic.
And, I haven't thought of the song Fairground for years.
That's what all I could hear, as soon as he popped up in my head is, I love the sun again home. Even if I know we get That was it. That and Money Too Tight to Mention is the other.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Look, if you want to see Mick Hucknell, or a bloke who looks like Mick Hucknell, get the shit beaten out of him,
this is the movie for you.
The shower scene is the classic example of why this, like, when you realise this movie is clearly unfunny.
Yeah.
That whole sequence exists for nothing more than to say, oh, Mason, Petite's got a massive dick.
Not petite at all.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
Is that where we're at?
I wasn't impressed with that. And as I said to you, I've got no doubt that they named him that just for that gag.
Yes. And it falls flat.
Yeah, absolutely flat.
Now, there's no romantic sparks. There's a sequence where she's showing her tattoos to him. It was so dry. Like, it just had nothing going for it. There's no heat. There's nothing. Like, at no point do you think maybe these two might get together. But even if they did, I would just be like, I wish they did.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a wise choice
like,
to not go that way.
She's here showing the tattoos and everything, and he's going, I'm bumbling around like, all flustered and stuff. I mean, like he's never seen a woman.
Hair box waving around.
He's never seen a woman's bare skin before. Like, do you know what I mean? So the whole thing just gets really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then thankfully they do the right thing and go, oh, well, I still love my wife and I can't do this.
Yes. But again, baffling choice given the way that you and your wife have been portrayed so far. I can't think of a worse relationship to go back to.
I know.
From both angles.
I can't wait to get home.
I can't wait to get home and dig back into my next case.
Yeah, while my wife tells me I'm a fucking loser. I think I'd rather get shot.
Well, that's the thing. The guy has taken an extremely dangerous mission because he's so fucking annoyed with how things are going at home. Oh.
Now, we mentioned, and I think we were kind of wrong here, Jared, partially wrong. Christian Slater's, we thought he was a villain.
Yeah. Well,
now, he kind of was,
for all
though.
money.
No, but he kind of was. He said something about shady characters, and he sent what's he in there so he could kill him and all this sort of stuff. So he kind of was, but then he wasn't.
Yeah.
But then there's no real reasoning behind any of that.
No, not really.
I thought that he was involved in helping Cost. Joe Cash.
I need to check up on that.
he was helping Joe Cash.
We'll just call him Mick Hucknall for the time being.
Well, he was helping Mick Hucknall get the whole overthrow the whole area.
He was booking gigs.
Yeah, Simply Red. We're doing a small but intimate group of shows across the country.
We can't book a stadium this time, but I've got a small acoustic gig if you're interested.
Yeah. I got it out in a fucking village in Paladonia if you're interested. And then the sequence when he actually rings his wife back home and his child, coming back to what we said before, it is just not earned at all. When he's saying, I love you and all that stuff, and she's saying, oh, you're making me worry and all this. None of that's earned. Because none of it, like, coming back to what we saw at the start, it doesn't feel right that these two should even bother to get together or be together.
Mm.
So it was again another missed opportunity and another mistake by the filmmakers. God. I was not the least bit surprised that it didn't turn out that the dictator had not shot the helicopter down.
No, fuck, not at all. Not at all.
So Cena's been upset at the bloke the whole time, and then he says, oh, yeah, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So you take the word of a fucking dictator, do you?
Yeah. But I mean, it's a funny dictator that you've developed this, this
and who thinks you cocksby
kind of silly relationship with.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The back part of the movie, we just meander through the political stuff. Don't worry about Cena or Alison Brie's characters. They're essentially bit players in the end.
Yes.
They take a back seat to the political goings on in the country, and it's silly. Like, again, you're putting aside the action and the comedy to do that right up until the last sort of 10 minutes or so. I don't know. It just... Obviously, there was a couple of scenes before that where Mick Hucknall and Simply Red turn up and just start shooting up the place just to keep the action kind of chugging along. But everything that's happening around that is just... It's really uninteresting.
But the last 25 minutes is just this kind of like cacophony of noise and shit and explosions and all that.
Yeah.
And shootouts, but none of it's got any real thrust. It's pretty average stuff.
Yeah.
And then are you trying to... This movie is trying to tell me that
Joe Cash.
Joe Cash is throwing John Cena around.
Yeah, that was the
like
part that was the
Biffo.
hardest. He grabs him and sort of flings him against the wall. I'm like, jeez.
You'd have to be a big unit, I think, to be doing that.
Yeah, I know he's out of shape, but...
Yeah, I know his fucking back's ruined, but still,
God.
like, you would have to be a big unit to handle that.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're trying to then make out like, oh, yeah, this fight could go either way.
No, it couldn't.
You can't.
No,
you can't
it
go
couldn't.
down that route.
No.
You can't. Total shit. Now, my last dislike, Jared, I'm sure this is yours too. He says something, him and his daughter have a very, very brief discussion in her bedroom after his wife's told him to fucking tell your story and walk and
get
check. Get the fuck out of here.
Get out, loser. Pack your shit.
Go and sleep in your fucking legal office. I mean, he's basically, his legal office is above a Chinese restaurant somewhere.
Look, I have no doubt that Cedar's, the case that he was currently working on was the Penske.
He's definitely on the Penske file. No doubt about it. He's sleeping under his desk. We all know that. But she says something about, he goes, I'm going away, doesn't he? He says, I'm going away.
Yeah.
And she says, do they have snow globes there? There is no reason for that comment. It's not like she had snow globes in her room or she'd mentioned it before.
Again, this is the poor fucking sketching out of any characters in the whole thing.
And then at the final scene, he turns up back from fucking, is it Patagonia?
Paladonia.
Paladonia,
I think it was.
With a snow globe.
Yeah.
And gives it to her.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the
Which I think my comment was that you can shove it up your ass. You can take that snow globe and fucking shove it up your ass, John Cena.
Yes. Please shove it up your ass.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing, again, this kind of like, oh, we're trying to come back around to it. But you didn't earn it in the first place.
No.
So why are we bothering to come back to it?
Couldn't tell you.
I can't tell you either. That was it for me. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No, I don't think I want to either.
That was a very, very tough
It was tough.
Yeah.
I saw one Letterboxd review that did make me laugh. It was actually a positive review. I think the person gave it 3 or 4 stars, which I was absolutely baffled by now. Just someone on Letterboxd.
Oh.
But it said, it's Commando if they spent way more time delving into Valverde's political situation. which is
about right.
Quite amusing, except, I don't think I wanted to see that movie.
No. Terrible film.
Yeah, shocker.
Look, I don't think I'll be hard pressed to find a 0 out of 5 for a while, I reckon.
Yeah.
This is a different type of 0 for me. This is a well-established cast, a director with some credits, and $40 million that just is just so haphazard that I think that's the reason why it's 0 for me.
Yeah. I think it was just the absolute boredom that I was suffering when I was watching it.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, the whole thing just came off really badly.
Extremely.
Do you think, what bearing do you think the box office performance of this or people, the studio watching this before they put it out had on fucking yanking
the other
next?
One? Maybe not a great deal.
I think
because I heard the other one was pretty well tested quite well.
Yes, I know.
I'm not really
I'm just
sure
thinking the whole thing about even bad movies having reasonable box office returns if there's a big name in it.
Yeah.
Because a $40 million movie, this was 40 mil, like with John Cena in it, you think, well, okay, it's probably going to make a bit of cash. But it seems like from a while back they didn't have a lot of faith in it because I didn't see any marketing.
I remember seeing the trailer.
I saw the trailer at the cinemas. I didn't see anything on TV. Didn't see any posters up.
Nah.
Didn't see anything.
It's pretty clear that they saw this as DOA.
Yeah.
I think pretty early.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe it did have bearing. Because maybe it said to it's saying to studios, and I don't necessarily.
He was our biggest star in that next movie, I think.
I don't necessarily believe this, but it almost sort of says that Cena can't really carry a picture on his own. You know what I mean? Like, where he's the star. That's where The Rock's got him. Yeah, is that The Rock can carry.
Can he, though?
He can.
I mean, he did for a while, but now that people have smelt what The Rock's cooking.
He might not be able to carry into the future, but The Rock had been somebody you could put in a movie and he would draw a crowd.
And The Rock could, say, well, I'm going to pull back and do a $50 million picture, and you can pretty much guarantee that he's probably going to make some money out of that.
Yes. So the concern, I think, for a lot of people would be that, well, John Cena's poison.
Now he might be.
Yeah. But
after this and the next one that's not going to get released.
I think maybe when you look at Cena's body of work, he's always made money in sort of ensemble things.
Yeah.
Or things where he's not the star.
Mm.
How many star films has he actually been in?
Well, most of the Most of the stuff that he's done as a star has been like straight to DVD, you know, the earlier WWE stuff that he did.
So when we talk about his most successful films, Fast and Furious, Ensemble, Bumblebee, he wasn't a star of Bumblebee.
No.
There's a few others,
Suicide
Ferdinand,
Squad.
Suicide
Didn't do
Squad.
too badly.
Yeah. Like, the guy's a good character actor,
Yeah.
I actually think.
And he headlines Peacemaker, which was, I thought it was good,
which was
but
handy.
different play on TV.
And again, I'm not saying he's not capable of it, but I think maybe after the returns on this, studios might have been a bit wary of it.
I think the lesson is don't do movies like this.
Yeah, all right.
That's what
I'm on board with that if you'd like to fucking, discuss it further. But yes, don't make movies like this. Like, did John, is there a different version of this somewhere that got him
I don't
interested?
know. I don't know.
Because far
Maybe.
out, if
Maybe
this
there
is
was a
what
funny
you saw,
script.
if you read this and thought that this was worth your time, I've got questions on your ability to pick.
Yeah.
Well,
It's so disappointing because, again, I really dig what he does usually.
yeah, I do too, and I'm certainly not writing him off. I'm sure he's probably got a number of films in the pipeline, and I'm hoping that he bounces back quickly. Well,
Needs to
he
get
had
back
one in the
into-
pipeline, but it was immediately removed and destroyed.
Needs to get back into stuff like Tour de Pharmacy as Gustav Ditters.
Yeah, that's more right up. You know what? He's got good comic timing,
Yeah,
so we
he
need
does.
to see him get back to some of that.
Yeah.
It just feels like, yeah. Look, it may have had some impact.
Hmm.
$7
Yeah,
million
I don't
bucks, $7 million box office on 40 million.
So what do you reckon it's going to finish on? Couldn't do more than 15
15 max.
worldwide.
And let's say we gave a limited amount of advertising in that. So
Yeah.
there's probably another 10 or 20 on top of that, top of the 40. So they're well behind. It's not the worst thing in the
Shame.
world, e.g., we didn't spend $200 million on it and we lost 150, but it's still not good.
Mm.
And to add to that, your Rotten Tomato score is 0. So that now puts it in a sort of an infamous category of shit films.
Mm.
So that doesn't help him either.
Jesus.
John, let's talk to you. Let's have a quick look at who your agent is, mate. Might be
Yeah.
time to start talking to some people. All right,
Possibly.
Jack. All right, that was Freelance. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia. We are also on Instagram at Thrill Me Podcast AU. Keep an eye on our Facebook page to see what we cover next up, which I believe we're going back to the cinemas, Jared,
We are.
for a horror picture coming soon. But until then, everyone, take it easy, and we'll catch you all later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.